Okay, guys, welcome to episode 2 of 999. It's been a couple of days again since I was able to get a new video out. Because, you know, work's been a bitch, and also, you know, my internet's still been all fucky. So, on the last episode, we got the key cards, we did everything we needed to do to escape the room, and now we're escaping the room. Also, for episode 2, you can see that I changed the layout. Hoping that maybe my face doesn't get as squished as in the first episode, and maybe everything will look a little bit better. It just wasn't doing so well with the way it was set the first time. Okay, now I need to adjust the audio here a bit. You're going to... Nope, it's not quite touching it, so you're fine. Okay. So there's probably going to be a decrease in volume for you guys. Okay. Accompanied by a wall of angry water, Genpai shot out of the room and into the opposing wall, gasping. To catch his breath, he looked around. He was in a narrow hallway. The water that had followed him out of the room was rapidly pouring out of the door. It flowed quickly down the hallway and slammed into the front of the short flight of stairs. Just 5 steps, in fact. And at the top of this short staircase was another door? A door! Another door! Genpai leapt up the stairs straight to the door. Is it not going to open for us? The door burst open and Genpai exploded out of it, only to freeze in his tracks. What other possible response could there have been to what he saw? What the hell? His voice trailed off, and all he could do was stare. Well, damn! I'd love to be on this boat. A polished floor stretched out before him, ornate staircases rising up from the edges, each one of them equidistant from the others. Oh, I don't know. The stairs and pillars were solid wood, and art nouveau is embellishments and decorations covered the walls and pillars. It looked like nothing so much as the entrance to a luxurious mansion from the early 1900s. Sorry, something's caught in my throat. And Genpai couldn't help but wonder, was he really in a ship? Yeah, a little bit. The water quickly filling the hallway behind him suggested that yes, he was. As he looked, a fresh wave rolled out of the room he'd been in, gathering speed as it moved toward the stairs. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is totally a Wait, what the hell? Wave? Shit, I gotta get out of here. Genpai spun around, his wet shoes squeaking in protest on the polished floors, and ran toward the tremendous staircase in front of him. Jeez, that friggin... Oh, C deck. Jesus, you're really booking her. B deck. As he ran, he glanced quickly at the plates mounted on the wall, denoting the decks of the ship. Well, I'd be kind of doing that, trying to figure what the hell's going on. He took the stairs 2 at a time, not entirely sure where he would find himself, just as he began to wonder where, in fact, the stairs did lead. A bunch of people. Genpai saw another person out of the corner of his eye. He stopped short, nearly tripping over the next stair, and looked. It wasn't just one person he'd seen. She has, like, no clothes. Like, if she doesn't want people looking at her, she's gonna need some new stuff, because I'm sorry, a lot of people are gonna be looking at that. Perfect thumbnail. On the ending of the left... Oh, on the landing to the left of the stairs, there were 4 people staring at him. Oh, Jesus, more. And on the right side, 3 more. Well, Jesus, doesn't he look distinguished? And I kind of like the girl with the red hair. All told, there were 7 of them. It looked as though they had been on their way down the stairs. They had stopped short when they saw Genpai, their eyes wide. So there's 7. He's 8. Where's number 9? He'd done the same, of course, and now they stood there staring at one another. Genpai didn't move, one foot placed awkwardly on the next step in the middle of his stride. Who were these people? This entire interaction lasted only a matter of seconds. The woman spoke to Genpai, and time began to move again. I guess there's another one of us now. The woman was dressed, Genpai thought, rather like a dancer. Oh, okay, now I kind of understand that. Her clothes covered very little, and her prodigious jewelry little more. Hey, you, come on! She's named Dancer. Hurry! With no further ceremony, she ran straight past Genpai and toward the doors behind him. The sudden proximity of a woman as such striking assets left Genpai momentarily stunned. But the others wasted no time and quickly followed the strange woman. The first to pass Genpai was a young man with silver hair. Kinda looks like Sonic the Hedgehog. He threw a quick glance in Genpai's direction as he ran, muttering, one of us, huh? Following him was an older man, his face calm and without fear. Soft wrinkles sprouted from his eyes, and he came close enough to be passed for Genpai to see wisps of gray in his hair. His composure and shock of hair struck Genpai as rather that of an elderly lion. Going up won't do you any good. There are 2 doors, but neither of them will open. The next to speak was a girl with pink hair and a high voice. Come on! Aren't you coming? You gotta hurry! Her small hand was wrapped around the wrist of another man. His eyes were closed, almost as though he were sleeping. His features were graceful, almost serene, and he was dressed rather elegant for someone his age. Something about his posture seemed very refined, and Genpai couldn't help but feeling he was noble and dignified somehow. He'd certainly never seen one, but this man seemed like what Genpai had always imagined a prince would be like. That's 9 of us, then. All of the cards are in hand. What does all of the cards are in hand mean? He wondered. Genpai opened his mouth to ask what the other man had meant, but the girl with pink hair rushed past him, and they were gone. Well, you're kind of an ugly brute. He turned just in time to see 2 more people running toward him. One of them had hair like a bird's nest, and looked as tough a stiff breeze might topple him. And the other man was a veritable mountain of a man. The scrawny one said nothing and scuttled past Genpai as though he were running from something. Hey, what the hell's you just standing around for? Didn't you hear him? The doors on A deck are no good. We gotta catch the doors on B deck. Got it? Now go! Okay, before he had a chance to respond, the man laid a massive hand on Genpai's shoulder. With no more effort than Genpai had to use to brush aside a fly, the man shoved him out of the way. Whoa! Thrown off balance, the man in the recent events, it took Genpai a few steps to get his bearings. He finally regained his balance and looked up at what the other 7 had been running toward. There were 2 pairs of large iron doors set into the wall in front of him. They looked quite sturdy, and each had handles jutting from them. Written across the surface of each door in red paint was a number. The door on the right had a 4, and the door on the left had a 5. They're the same. The guy Genpai had decided to call Silver was mumbling to himself. The room I woke up in had a number on the door, just like that. You too, eh? With one arched eyebrow, the lion looked over at Silver. So that's what we're calling them. My cell was the same, a number upon the door. I opened it, ran down the hallway outside, and found myself in the rather strange grand room. Full of stairs, as I suspect, did the rest of you? It was as though the floodgates had been opened. They had all began to talk at once. Me too. I did too. Yeah, a door with a number on it. It soon became clear that each one of them had awoken in a room with a locked door and solved a puzzle to escape. They'd all ended up in the same room, almost as though they'd been guided there. Well, yes, we all saw the same thing. That's not important. We need to hurry. You think I don't know that lady? Before the dancer had time to finish, Silver was already running. He grabbed hold of the door labeled 5 and pulled. Not open. However, fuck! It's not opening! This damn thing won't even budge. Move. You're in the way. Mountain grabbed Silver's shoulder and tossed him aside. His path cleared, he took a few steps back, then threw himself at the door. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. The door shook as his body slammed into it, but showed no signs of breaking open or opening. The mountain threw himself at the door again. Genpai turned toward door number 4. Next to the door on the wall was a small box. It looked just like the one he'd seen in his room next to the door. Well, next to that door. If it was the same, then this door was likely locked as well. Still, he had to check. Genpai grabbed the handle and threw all of his weight onto it. And not gonna open. It was locked as tight as the door next to it, as he suspected. Fuck. Genpai punched the door. It did not respond. It says vacant, though. We should be able to get in. Were these the only doors, he wondered. He'd barely finished the thought when the C deck plate he'd passed on his way up sprang unbidden to his mind. His body moved before he had time to think. Genpai turned and ran back toward the stairs. So we're going back to C deck. He had scarcely taken a step when, at the top of the stairs next to an ornate clock embedded in the wall, he saw a person. The last person. It was a girl. She looked the same age as Genpai. He froze, unable to look away from her face. He wasn't confounded by her beauty, or something equally silly. No, there was another reason he couldn't take his eyes off the girl. Junpei had seen her somewhere before. He couldn't quite remember where, but he knew. He knew he'd met her before. Ex-girlfriend. I don't know, she's actually really cute. I'm hoping so. The girl, too, stared at Junpei, similarly stunned. Her response suggested she'd seen him before as well. Without saying a word, Junpei walked slowly toward her. She didn't move. It was almost as though she was held in place by some sort of magic spell. As Junpei stepped onto her landing, the spell broke. No sooner had he set his foot down than the whole ship shook a second time. Well, shit! This gotta stop. The quake caught the girl unprepared, and she fell. Moving on instinct, Junpei leapt to catch her, or so he thought. Did he not catch her? Did he fuck up? Her face was far closer than it should have been, mere inches from his own. He was flat on his back, and he had landed squarely on top of him. The girl seemed as confused as he did, and her face suggested she still hadn't fully recovered from seeing him. For a moment, that seemed to stretch for a very long time, they stared at one another. The ship stopped shaking. Everything was quiet. Water could be heard from the bottom of the ship, lapping faintly at the walls and ceilings, but eventually that faded as well. The silence was complete, a thick, muffling blanket. At last, the girl opened her mouth. Oh my gosh. Is that you, Jumpy? Jumpy! Jumpy. Her words echoed through Junpei's head, and suddenly his memories returned. Akane? School friend? Why hadn't he realized it before? The girl was Akane Kurashiki. She and Junpei had been friends in childhood. They'd gone to elementary school together for 6 years. But what was she doing on the ship? Well, she turned really cute. Her soft eyes were only inches away from his own. He could feel the warmth of her face. Feelings he'd thought long forgotten began to work their way to the surface. He could feel his face heating up. At that moment, a speaker cracked to life, and a cold, eerie voice filled the room. He's here. Welcome aboard. I welcome you all from the bottom of my heart to this, my vessel. With the voice's invasion, the spell between Junpei and Akane, I'm gonna go with Akane, was broken, and all hints of burgeoning romance instantly forgotten. They hurried, untangled themselves from one another, and struggled to their feet. I want to see the bastard. Their 7 companions had heard the voice as well, and many of their faces had gone pale. They looked around frantically, desperate to locate the source of the voice. At last they found it. A speaker set in the ceiling. I am Zero, the captain of this ship. I am also the person who invited you here. The voice was harsh, obscured occasionally by the crackle of static, but Junpei recognized it. How could he have forgotten it? Hey, buddy. It was the same voice he had heard from the man in the gas mask. That great man that knocked us out. Hey, asshole, what the hell is this? Come on out here. I want to get a look at you. What do you mean, to do to us? I mean to have you participate in a game. Some of you, I know, are familiar with this game. The Nonary Game. It is a game where you will put your life on the line. Nonary Game? What the hell's that? The voice continued implicably. The rules of the Nonary Game can be found upon your persons. They are simple rules. Read them. Nonary Game. Hey, there's something in my pocket. Check this out. Silver reached into his pocket and pulled out a small slip of paper. The rest of them reached into their own pockets and pulled out similar slips of paper. Junpei followed suit and dug into the pocket of his pants. He felt the telltale crumble of paper, slightly damp from his earlier ordeal. Hey, I got one too. Then it would seem Zero has seen fit to grace us with a letter. Would you mind terribly reading it to us, young man? His request had been delivered to Junpei, who, after a short moment of surprise, did as he'd been asked. On this ship, you will find a handful of doors emblazed with numbers. We can call them the numbered doors. The doors in front of you are a pair of the same. The key to opening these numbered doors are the numbered bracelets that each of you possess. Should you total the numbers on your numbered bracelets and find that the digit root of that number is equal to that of that door, the door will open. Only those who have opened the door may pass through. There are, however, limits. Only 3 to 5 people can pass through one numbered door. All those who enter must leave, and all who enter must contribute. Okay, bracelet. Junpei figured he'd Well, it had to mean the bulky thing on his wrist. He glanced around. It looked like everyone else had one as well, and he'd come to much the same conclusion. The purpose of this game is simple. Leave the ship alive. It is hidden, but an exit can be found. Seek a way out. Seek a door that carries a 9. Genpai had reached the end of the letter. There was a long moment of silence, and then the speaker crackled a life once more. There is one last thing I must tell you. As you have no doubt surmised, this ship has begun to sink. On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg. After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic. I will give you more time. 9 hours. That is the time you will be given to make your escape. The voice finished, and the speaker went silent. The sound of a bell tolling echoed through the hall. It came from the dance hall adjacent to the stairwell. It took those amazed on the stairs mere moments to trace the sound to an antique clock embedded in the wall. 7, 8, 9. The sound of the 9th bell faded away, the 10th never came. That meant the time was 9 o'clock. Most likely 9 o'clock in the evening. Even Genpai had peered out the window of his cell. He'd seen nothing but blackness. It had to be nighttime. If that was the case, then they would need to escape by 6 a.m. the following day. Now, it is time. Let our game begin. I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you. Thank you. The speaker went silent and did not speak again. Silver yelled at the speaker with language coarse enough to embarrass a sailor, but the rest of Genpai's companions were silent, deep in thought. Genpai, too, was consumed by his thoughts. There was a great deal he didn't understand. Who was Zero? What was the Nonary Game? Why had he chosen to make them part of it? Was he a criminal who took delight in playing with his victims, or did he have some other purpose? And why had Genpai been chosen as part of this insane game? Why had any of them been chosen? But one question was foremost on his mind. Akane. They hadn't seen one another since elementary school. Why had she appeared now? Coincidence? No, that seemed impossible. There had to be a reason. He didn't know what it might be, but there had to be a reason. Very well. The lion's voice seemed oddly loud in the silence. Standing around here won't do us any good. Best we get moving, don't you think? Get moving? Aren't you planning to open the numbered doors? Hey, wait. Don't tell me you're actually going to do what this Zero says. No, that's not what I mean. The lion shook his head, mildly annoyed. I'm saying let's find another way. After all, we haven't really examined this place yet. We what? We look for a different way out. That's what he's saying. Their separate investigation finished, all 9 people returned to where they'd left one another. The result of all their work was nothing. They were completely sealed in. Their hard work had gone completely to waste. However, they had learned a number of things as they'd secured the parts of the ship they could reach. It seemed that they were confined to decks A through C. C deck was far down. C deck was as far down as they were able to go. However, the reason being the water. The D deck was completely submerged. Strangely, however, the water had risen no higher than deck D. The flow seemed to have stopped somehow, as evidenced by the surface of the water on deck D, which was as smooth as glass. The prince knelt down, gently drew his hand across it. Perhaps this Zero fellow has used some sort of remote control to seal the water seal lower down. He said that our time limit was 9 hours. In other words, this water won't rise for 9 hours. Then you're saying we won't sink till then? Well, that may be a little too optimistic. No point to wishful thinking. There were 3 metal doors on C deck. A single door stood off to the side with 2 more on the wall facing the central staircase. None of them had numbers or verification devices. They were, however, locked to the other doors. Locked like the others, sorry. No matter how much they pushed and shoved, the doors refused to move. The mountain and the lion threw themselves against them a few times, but to no avail. The door in the back had a keyhole. Just above it was a strange mark in the shape of a circle surrounding the dot. There were 2 other doors on the sea deck as well, but it was clear that they were elevators, as each had a button next to it and an upside-down triangle. They tried pushing the button, but nothing. No response. Apparently, there was no power running to the elevators. Shock. To the left of the elevator door was a card reader. Beautiful. The card reader was also strangely marked on it. It looked like the lowercase h with a dash drawn across the upper stem of the H. Junpei stared at it for a while. This is a symbol from... Oh, this is the symbol of Saturn. It was an astrological symbol. Then, the mark on the other door? I think that was the sun symbol. I do believe so. Okay, they had seen the same symbols on A deck. So everything's astronomical? Whatever. Astrology shit. Sirs! Okay, there was a door on the other side of the stairs. The one on the left had a keyhole with a similar symbol engraved on it. I don't know what that one is. This is an Earth symbol. The horizontal line symbolizes the equator and the vertical on the prime meridian. Okay. Cool. Junpei looked up at the ceiling. There was a great circle cut in it, perhaps for a skylight or a glass dome, but it had been filled with a gargantuan metal plate. The metal looked very solid. Anything short of an explosion. Explosive charge was unlikely to damage it. There were several windows along both sides of the ship, or at least there had been. They, too, were covered with metal plates. Because, you know, we gotta keep us in. In other words, pretty sealed in. We're trapped. All exits go nowhere. Junpei was not happy. The girl with pink hair spoke up. Well, I'm sure they go somewhere. We just can't open them. Then the mountain spoke. You don't know that. For all we know, they just open into walls or take us in circles. The prince did not agree. No, I'm sure they go somewhere. Otherwise, what point would there be? And we can open them. Well, 2 of them at least. 4 and 5. You mean the number doors? All eyes turned toward the doors with the numbers on them. The atmosphere in the room grew tense. Hey, wait a minute. I think I said this earlier, but I don't think we should do that. When the moved in front of the doors as if to block them. We'd have to be crazy to open these doors. If we do that, we're doing exactly what Zero wants us to do. Suddenly, everyone began to speak at once. But, sadly, I'm going to have to end the video here. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to have... No, that's not it either. Okay. Trying to figure out my button here. There we go. I'm going to have to end the video here for today. Okay, hold up. We could not save. I don't think that's a terrible idea. Okay, I'll play a little bit more, maybe. We should get going. We should stay here. We don't have any other... We'd open these doors. We should just wait. Somebody's bound to come find us. We don't have time for that. In 8.5 hours, the ship is going to sink. The calmer the voices made it next to impossible to determine who was saying what. Let me see if it'll save now. Okay, I have to use my mouse to save. Okay. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment and subscribe. I do have to end the video here for today. So, I just want to know what you guys think. I'll see you all in the next episode. Take care until then, guys. Bye-bye.